Welcome to Illuminating Catholics, podcast of the Diocese of Sioux City. I'm Dawn Prosser, Director of Communications for the Diocese. Together with Carmen Bauer of the Faith Formation Office, we will shed light upon topics of faith in the modern church. Our guests include Catholic clergy, religious sisters, and other experts in their fields to help us understand what's happening in the church today. We will explore issues, even the tough ones, and to find answers to common questions about Catholicism. Thank you for joining us for today's Illuminating Catholics, shedding light to understand the modern church. Welcome back to Illuminating Catholics. I am Dawn Prosser, and I am the Director of Communications for the Diocese of Sioux City.
And I am Carmen Bauer. I am the Director of Faith Formation.
And we both thank you for listening and subscribing to our podcast and the great feedback that we've been getting. We love to hear from you, so keep sending your messages. We love that. news@scdiocese.org always works too. So today we have a special guest, although all of our guests are special, all the way from Ashtabula, Ohio, in the Diocese of Youngstown. Bishop-elect John Keehner is joining us for his first time on our podcast. So welcome to Illuminating Catholics, Bishop-elect.
Thank you, Dawn. It's nice to be here.
Well, we are thrilled for you to join us today. I know that I hope that you've received a warm welcome from everyone. There was definitely such an excitement after the announcement that we received a new bishop after a couple years of praying, and it's obviously bittersweet as we do have such a great love and affection for Bishop Nickless, but we are so thrilled to welcome you, and we hope that this is an opportunity for our listeners just to learn a little bit more. When you arrived here in February, you did we offered a press conference, and that was very informative, and that is still available on the diocesan social media pages for those who missed it. But for those who, may have not been able to watch all of it, or maybe just caught bits and pieces, or this is maybe the first time hearing from you, would you be willing to share a little bit about your background, where you're from, a little bit about your family and your education?
Sure. I'm the one of 5 children born to John and Betty Keehner in Youngstown, Ohio, and I'm the troubled middle child. I actually have an older brother, Jerry. I'm sorry?
I said no wonder. It makes sense now.
Yes. Yes, I have an older brother, Jerry, who's married to Ruth, and they have 2 daughters, Catherine and Cecilia. I have a twin sister, Carol, who is widowed and remarried. She's married to Walter, and Carol has a son named James, who just took the bar exam yesterday, I believe.
Wow.
I have a younger brother, Richard, who is retired and living at home, the home that we grew up in, and I have a brother, Michael, who died as an infant. And we were very working class. My dad was a steel worker who at one point during one of the steel strikes or layoffs, took a job as a janitor in the local schools. And that was his job for 30 years. And so, I have humble origins. I went to public schools, Austintown Public Schools. I grew up at Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish, although we did not attend Mass together as a family. I think I said that in the press conference. I got drawn into being active in the parish through music. I played trumpet, not well, but I played it nonetheless. And then through that, also became a member of the church choir, and then a lector, and became active in youth ministry. And so I went to public schools. My undergraduate is from the Pontifical College Josephinum in Columbus, where I received a BA in English, although I double majored English and Latin American studies. And because of that, I have a minor in Spanish, although I said in my press conference, my Spanish is very rusty. I'm working on it. From the Josephinum, I went on to major seminary, Mount St. Mary's Seminary of the West in Cincinnati, which is further east than Sioux City, but they still call it the West. And I received my Master of Divinity there, as well as a Master of Arts in Biblical Studies. And then I was in a parish I was ordained in 1993 by Bishop Malone, and was in a parish for 4 years. And after 4 years, our next bishop, Bishop Thomas Tobin, who happens to be a good friend of Bishop Nickless, by the way, Bishop Tobin sent me to Rome to study canon law. I wanted to get a further degree in biblical studies, and he said, I don't need scripture scholars, I need canon lawyers. So I went to Rome and studied canon law at the University of St. Thomas Aquinas, which is known popularly as the Angelicum, and came back to Youngstown, and I circuit rode for a year. So I was helping in various parishes while I was beginning my time working in the tribunal, the Department of Canonical Services. And then after a year, I was assigned as vice rector to the Cathedral Parish of St. Columba. And during that time, I was a master of ceremonies for the bishop, and I was a master of ceremonies for 13 years in all. Spent time at the Newman Center at Youngstown State University, eventually became the rector of the cathedral, and served in that capacity for, I think, 5 or 6 years. Then I went to St. Christine Parish in Youngstown. And the nice thing about St. Christine, it was like the cathedral, it was 10 minutes from my home. And so I was able to go home and cook dinner for my mom almost every evening or be with her while she ate. She had several strokes and by that time was in need of somebody to be with her while she was eating. And then I could get back to St. Christine for evening meetings. And it was, and then she eventually moved into the assisted living facility that was across the street from St. Christine. And I could visit her every day, walk across the street and spend some time with her and still get back for evening meetings and appointments. I was at St. Christine until 2019 when I went to St. Paul in North Canton. I was also at St. Luke, by the way, in Boardman while I was at St. Christine my last 2 years there. I went to St. Paul in North Canton, and I was there a total of 5 years, the last 2 years during which I was also pastor of Holy Spirit in Uniontown. And a couple of years ago, I told Bishop Bonner that I really felt the need to go on sabbatical. And I wanted to spend some time in contemplation, some time in prayer, some time, just thinking, contemplating my vocation, contemplating where my life was going. And so he gave me permission to take a sabbatical. And the majority of that sabbatical was spent walking the Camino de Santiago in France and Spain. And so um, I began that journey on September 4th and completed it on October 16th. That was 42 days. That included 2 rest days, taken mainly because I couldn't walk any further. My leg was swollen.
Oof.
Uh, but I survived it, and I concluded it with a quick trip to England and visiting some places I wanted to go in and around London, and then Canterbury, and came back to the parish November 5th, I believe, and I've been at actually I'm in 4 parishes in Ashtabula County: Our Lady of Peace in Ashtabula City, Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary in Geneva, Corpus Christi in Conneaut, and St. Andrew Bobola in Sheffield. And so this is a string of parishes stretching along the what we call the North Coast, the coast of Lake Erie in northern Ashtabula County. So I'm on the border, with Canada, and it's a beautiful area.
We are kind of curious to know a little bit more about your current assignment, although our apologies to your parishioners that we're stealing you away. So, how far, what is your farthest drive that you would have to make to get from parish to parish?
Well, last Friday I was having lunch with friends, and I got an emergency call, so I left them, and they drove back to North Canton. I had a 25-minute drive west to Geneva to the hospital there to anoint somebody, and also had in the meantime, a call to anoint somebody in Conneaut, which is on the other side of the county. Ashtabula is the biggest county in the state of Ohio, land-wise. And so I had a 40-minute drive to get from from Ashtabula to Conneaut. So I spent a lot of time driving. So I understand that's also the case in the Sioux City Diocese, that a lot of parishes are spread out far. So I'm used to doing that. I'm used to driving. From Conneaut to Geneva is about 40 to 45 minutes, depending on where you're going, and which route you take. The most direct route, which is the most scenic route along the lake, is not the quickest route.
Bummer.
Um, yeah, it is. But that's the route I like to take unless I'm in a hurry, like, when I had to anoint somebody, I wanted to make sure I got there in time. So I took the freeway, which is Interstate 90.
Well, yes, you're correct in your assumption. There's a lot of driving in this diocese. We're 24 counties, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 3 hours top to bottom, left to right. So, yeah,
Yes,
we have
yeah.
a lot of geography here. So, got 4 parishes. How many registered families do you think you serve altogether?
Oh gosh, probably about 2,500 families.
Okay.
Um, a lot of things have changed since COVID. We don't have as many people who are active, but I think in terms of registration, it's about 2,500 families.
That's
Um,
plenty.
that's plenty, yeah.
And plus, with it
We're
being
always
so
looking
spread
for,
out.
yes, yes. There's a lot of farm country here, a lot of vineyards, a lot of dairy farms, a lot of soybeans, sweet corn, a lot of sweet corn in this area. But the vineyards are actually the big draw in Ashtabula County. There are three: the lake and the boating and the swimming and the fishing associated with being on the lake. The vineyards, Ashtabula vineyards, are top notch, and in the last 20 years, they've become some award-winning wines associated with Ashtabula. And then covered bridges. Ashtabula County has several, I think it's the largest number of covered bridges in the state of Ohio, one of the largest number in the United States. And so a lot of historic covered bridges as well. So
Well,
beautiful area.
with
Sounds
that
like it.
description, it sounds like we maybe should have traveled out there to do this in person.
We'll have another recording next week.
Oh, that does sound
Sounds
delightful.
great. I don't think we're supposed to have snow until Wednesday. So,
Oh, okay.
All right.
um,
We're on our way.
Well, that is so beautiful. Anytime you're near the Great Lakes, you could just absorb that beauty for so long and really enjoy it yourself. During the press conference, I really was drawn in by how you described that moment when you received the call from the nuncio, and from there to coming over to visit Sioux City and being with us. So take us through, what has life been like since you've been processing all of that and working through the practicals, and what does that look like for folks who might not really have ever experienced the behind the scenes of something like this?
every day has been different. I'm still a pastor, although I read in the ceremonial for bishops just yesterday morning that I was supposed to have resigned
Oh,
my position. So I submitted my letter of resignation to Bishop Honor yesterday, and he said, I was wondering when you were going to do this. So I'm still pastor till March 23rd, but at least, I have a definitive date of when I'm resigning. But, I've been deluged with emails, especially emails with the staff in Sioux City, and that's great because I know what's going on, and everybody wants to keep me in the loop, and I'm so grateful for that. So please, Don, don't feel badly about that.
I do feel kind of
Um,
bad.
no, please don't, because it's good to know what's going on. Just doing things like being fitted for cassocks. I had to have my head measured to be fitted for a mitre. That was interesting. I spent 5 hours at the Diocese of Youngstown on Wednesday, doing a photo shoot, and then being interviewed by Katie with the Catholic Echo, trying to tie up loose ends. The Diocese of Youngstown is gifting me with the Episcopal ring that belonged to Bishop Malone, who ordained me, and his pectoral cross. So I picked those up on Wednesday as well. I still have to take them to the jeweler to be resized. Working on my coat of arms. In the midst of all of this, preparing for, I have a baptism on Sunday, or actually tomorrow, that I'm preparing for and meeting with people. I had a funeral yesterday, still celebrating daily masses, and I've got confessions on Saturday and parish meeting on Sunday, and I'm still involved in the day-to-day life of the parish, and I'm getting emails and calls from the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, just trying to catch me up on what's going on, some of the responsibilities bishops have towards the conference in terms of, education and information. So it has not been dull.
Oh, I'm
I've
sh-
not been bored.
So no time for sleep, I'm guessing. You're serving your current parishes, answering all of our requests, and then the USCCB. And Lent is coming.
Right. Well, and something that
Yes,
comes
yeah.
and something that comes to mind that I would love your insights into is, this is obviously a busy time of transition after answering the call, and for those of us who will also have transitions in our life in those busy times, what have you found, for maintaining a prayer life and, really relying on God during such a busy time?
Well, interestingly enough, Carmen, I've taken extra time to spend praying, and I usually get up. I'm up at 5 in the morning, and I spend some time with the office, the Liturgy of the Hours, and then I'm currently rereading the Gospel of John, just as part of my own personal prayer, and then part of that is preparing for the Lenten series we're doing on the Passion of Christ. There's a program that we're using called No Greater Love. So I'm reading that book again, trying to get a couple of chapters in the morning, and it's a very prayerful opportunity for me. And then, certainly celebrating the Eucharist, and just I like to spend some time in the morning before Mass, before the Blessed Sacrament, and I get over early enough that I can spend about 20 minutes to a half an hour with the Blessed Sacrament, and just quiet, as long as nobody comes up and bothers me.
Oh,
Um, that's always, sitting in the
Mhm.
church is always dangerous in that
Yes.
sense. Somebody
agreed.
always has a question, but people have been very respectful of my need for some solitude, and I'm grateful for that. They can ask me any question they want afterwards, but they've been very kind about giving me some space and some time.
That's great.
Um, yeah, and praying the office in the evening with the other priests in the rectory and the seminarian who's with us for 4 of the 7 days a week. That's been a great blessing to me.
Well, I'm glad that you've had that time, that uninterrupted time as well. And thank you for sharing that. I just think that it's a reminder for all of us that, our priests and our bishops are busy, but just like we are in so many ways, but what an example of maintaining that active prayer life and that consistency in prayer life and how fruitful that can be for those of us who are trying to balance many things. I am also curious, have you had any other bishops offering advice or guidance for your upcoming role over here in the Diocese of Sioux City?
Yes, I have. And first of all, thanks to Bishop Nickless, who's just been wonderful and kind and really offering me some guidance, and I'm grateful for that. But also a couple of bishops with whom I studied in Rome during my time there. Bishop Doug Lucia, who is the Bishop of Syracuse, has we were just on the phone the other evening, and just offering me some guidance and some support. Bishop Bonner from Youngstown has just been great, really giving me a lot of time and guidance. And then another friend, Mark O'Connell, who is the auxiliary bishop of Boston, just offering me some advice. I've asked them, what should I be reading? What should I be studying? What should I be focusing on my retreat, which is coming up soon? And they've all been very helpful in that regard. So I'm grateful to all of them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Great fraternity with our
Yes.
bishops. So you came and visited for in time for the announcement. So just curious, because we really threw a lot of things at you, including your ordination and so forth. What is surprising you about what your responsibilities are going to be?
I'm not sure if there's anything that's truly surprising. I worked in the chancery for 12 years and was the bishop's master of ceremonies. So, I saw a lot of what the bishop did on a daily basis, and was also at the cathedral parish. So, was always with him when he was at the cathedral. So I think the amount of travel that I will be need to be doing, and not just travel within the diocese, travel with the U.S. Conference of Catholic
Mm-hmm.
Bishops, travel. I have to go to Rome in September to attend bishop school. Um, you know,
So you knew what you're getting into for the most part.
yes. I guess again, the travel surprised me, although, I knew that Bishop Murray traveled quite a bit. I knew that Bishop Tobin traveled quite a bit. I knew that Bishop Malone traveled even more because Bishop Malone was a national figure as president of the Conference of Catholic Bishops, at one time. But there's a difference in looking at it from a distance and then looking at it, oh, this is my future. This is something I need to be planning for. This is, you know, just trying to figure out, okay, when can I spend some time with my family? When can I spend some time with my friends? And oh, well, that vacation's out. That time, my one of my friends and I were looking at just taking a trip up to Niagara on the Lake, one of our favorite haunts. We like to go to the Shaw Festival, which is looking at or seeing plays by George Bernard Shaw and some of his
Wow.
contemporaries. And well, that's out.
Sorry.
Simply because, well, that's okay. It's my life is different, and he just retired as a pastor, so his life is now different. He has more time than I do, and but just recognizing a lot has changed. And one of the things I had to do was I have a grave purchased, and I don't think I'll be able to use that now. So I need to make arrangements for that to be in somebody else's name.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, my final rest, I don't think that's my decision any longer. Because I think tradition is that the diocesan bishop is buried among his people. And I have no problem with that, but I want to make sure that that doesn't go to waste. You know,
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
looking at giving my car to my brother, or do I sell it, or I'm not bringing it with me. Making arrangements for my dog,
Oh, yes.
I'm very sad about the
whom I'm
dog.
going to. I am sad about the dog too, but it wouldn't be fair to her,
Oh,
to bring her and leave her by herself when she's used to being with me at the office all the time. In fact, she's outside my door, have a glass
Right now.
door, staring at me right now,
There were
wondering why I won't let her in.
there were numerous offers, at least in our building, I think Carmen's building as well, to watch the dog for hours at a time.
My thought is that if we could, allow a dog here, maybe I could bring my cat. So I was hoping maybe we could, change the policy.
That's another
Arwen
story.
wouldn't like that.
No.
She thinks she's the only animal permitted. So,
Highly favored pet. So, people probably realize your ordination is coming up on May 1st at the Cathedral of the Epiphany. I will mention, just for our listeners, that is going to be broadcast on KTIV, our NBC affiliate. And if you're not in our broadcast area, it's also going to be live streamed, so people from Youngstown Diocese can watch it as well. And I know you've been working with our Director of Worship, Father Andrew Gallus, and you actually got a lot of stuff hammered out when you were here a couple of weeks back. What are some of the highlights of the Mass that people might not know about? Songs you've picked, or readings, or some of the symbols of the office. Do you want to give us a sneak peek?
The symbols of the office. And at one point after the laying on of hands, there are three main consecrators. One will be the Archbishop, Archbishop Zinkala, and then Bishop Nickless, and my current bishop, Bishop Bonner, will be the main consecrators. But then any of the bishops present will also have the opportunity for the laying on of hands, which, that's the most ancient symbol of the church in terms of the sacrament of ordination. So, and then I'm at one point, my head is anointed with sacred chrism. And then the ring is placed on my finger as a symbol of the fact that the bishop is married to his diocese. And again, that ring is a gift from the Diocese of Youngstown. It was from the archives. It belonged to Bishop Malone, who ordained me a priest and a deacon. Other symbols are they place the mitre on my head, and then they hand me the crozier, which is the shepherd's staff, and then I'm escorted by the Archbishop, I believe, to the cathedra, to the chair. and I take position of the diocese once I'm standing and seated at my chair. And so that's kind of a dramatic moment.
That will
Some of the
be very
music,
moving.
yes, yes, I'm sure it will be moving for me. Um, and then when I'm standing at the chair looking out at the people and recognizing that my life has changed forever, but so is theirs. So is theirs. And recognizing that spousal relationship that we're in this together for life. I was really, really happy with everything that had already been planned for the ordination mass. Even some of the music were, oh, that's something I would have chosen. For example, the one hymn I wanted was "The King of Love, My Shepherd Is," which is,
Oh, that's wonderful.
oh, it's sort of the Diocese of Youngstown's theme song
Really?
Oh, wow.
because it's written to the hymn of Saint Columba,
Yes.
who is our patron saint,
Oh, how
and
wonderful.
he's the patron of our cathedral. And so that was my one. I'm going to stand on this hill till I get this song. And Father Gallus had already planned it, and
So there
and
were
I
no
was so
fist
grateful.
fights.
Yeah, so there was no fight. And then the other song I really would have liked was "Oh God Beyond All Praising," and I was happy to
Yes.
see that that was one of the options
Wonderful.
for the final hymn.
Love
And
that song.
then, yeah, I do too.
Hmm.
And then the readings, just everything fell right into place. We were able to look at the readings, and uh, I think there was a mutual agreement on this one's appropriate, and then the gospel passage, especially one of my favorite passages, which is on it's the conclusion of John's gospel, "Feed my lambs, feed my sheep," and again, one of my favorite gospel passages. So
It's great you were so like-minded.
Well, I was going to say
yes,
you're in great hands with Father Gallus, and I would just say
yes,
that it never needs to come to a fight with him. He does accept bribes of candy,
Yeah,
and I
you need
oh,
to know
very
that.
effective. It's a very effective way if you ever need to convince him.
I'm told though that don't try to bribe him with vegetables.
Oh
No,
no, that won't work.
no onion and no
No
onions.
onions.
Yeah,
Yes,
no vegetables.
yes.
Yeah, whereas
Now
I
you
can
know.
be bribed with Brussels sprouts.
Oh, yes. I I actually love those.
Now you know the secrets of the diocese.
Yes,
we're,
yes,
we're we're putting them out on the air.
Yes, when people talk about church
yes,
politics, it's really just as simple
yes.
as candy.
I think we'll be
I think
able to take a PDF of the worship aid of your ordination so that we can put that online. Again, people that might be watching it either live streamed or on the local NBC affiliate. So they'll be able to see those readings, read along, sing along if they want to.
that's
So
good.
that is our plan. I can't imagine that couldn't happen. It's pretty easy
That's great.
technology. So to all
Yes,
those listening out there, you can still participate. We will take care of all that for you on our website, which if you're listening from the Youngstown Diocese, we're scdiocese.org. I'll put it in the show notes as well. So we talked about that really awesome moment when you take possession of the diocese at your chair, which I just recently learned that's the moment. So what do you look forward to the most coming here and shepherding the Diocese of Sioux City?
I think just experiencing, the universality of the church, that, my experience here in Youngstown is not the definitive experience, that, people are people no matter where you go, and the church is the church no matter where you go, and the church is the church no matter what language you use to worship. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know people. I know I won't be able to do it on the same level that I can as a pastor in a parish, and I understand that. But, getting to know people as their bishop, getting to know the priests as their bishop, just recognizing, the beauty and the gifts that everybody brings to the table. I had a funeral yesterday for a 96-year-old woman whom I'd known for 40 years. And one of the things that we talked about was that her kitchen table was the altar of her domestic church, that, she gathered people at the table and fed them. And, that recognizing that as the shepherd of the church, I'm called to do that as well. I'm called to gather people at the table and to feed them, and feed them not just with pasta and cookies and things like that. Feed them with the body of Christ and the blood of Christ, and food that lasts to eternity. And I'm looking forward to that, and doing that in a different way than I'm accustomed.
That's beautiful.
That is.
So,
Thank you.
Bishop-elect, we're getting close to our little deadline here. Do you have any final words that you want to share with both the faithful in the Diocese of Sioux City here in Iowa and your friends, your parishioners, former parishioners from Ohio, Youngstown Diocese that might be listening? Any final thoughts for us all?
Yeah, just to my people, my friends, my parishioners here in Ohio. I'm so sad to be leaving you, but in a sense, Youngstown and the Youngstown Diocese will always be home for me. But that doesn't mean I can't have a new home. And to the people of Sioux City in Iowa, I'm truly looking forward to being a part of your diocese and to making my future, in Iowa, and making it my forever home, and a place where I hope to be part of you, and part of what it means to be a member of the church in Sioux City. And I'm just looking forward to being a part of your lives and to welcoming you into my life as well.
Thank you so much, Bishop-elect. And to the people in Ohio, we promise we will take good care of him.
Well, and going
and I know you will.
Well, and the image that kind of comes to mind when hearing you talk, and just we're living in this anticipation of your arrival, and that example of that kitchen table in the domestic church, it almost reminds me as a member of the faithful here in the diocese, when you were a little kid waiting for your father to come home, and just how exciting that was when he finally got home. And I think there's definitely eagerness and anticipation here to welcome you as our father. And I hope, that there are a lot of prayers being said for both you and Bishop Nickless during this time.
I do know that, and I'm grateful for it. Truly grateful.
Well, thank you so much, Bishop-elect Keehner, for joining us. We're just, like I said, we are so excited to welcome you to our diocese. I want to encourage all of our listeners, continue to hold him in prayer, continue to hold Bishop Nickless, but also our presbyterate. And these times of transition can be, vulnerable for all of us spiritually. So, we always want to return to prayer. And also, this time of Lent is perfect for that. So thank you for joining us to learn more about him and what this time is looking like in our diocese as we prepare and as he prepares personally for his May 1st ordination at the Cathedral of the Epiphany. Thank you for continuing to follow Illuminating Catholics, and make sure you subscribe so that you do not miss a single episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Illuminating Catholics, shedding light to understand the modern church. Follow us for more episodes on topics of the Catholic faith. For more diocesan news, visit lumenmedia.org.